The stars of professional sports are often people that we look up to, so when it's discovered that they've cheated, we get angry. Throughout the history of both professional sports and the Olympics, there have been a select group of people who rose to the top, became stars, only to later be exposed for not only breaking the rules of the game, but for doing things that were highly illegal to get there. So today, I'm going to tell you about 10 people who made it to the top of their game, what they ended up doing, and how they ended up falling from greatness. These are the 10 worst cheaters in sports history. Number 1 is Lance Armstrong. Born on September 18th, 1971, former American professional road cycling champion Lance Armstrong has accomplished a lot in his life. Known as Le Boss, or Big Tex by his peers, he battled stage 3 testicular cancer back in 1996, won 7 Tour de France cycling marathons between 1999 and 2005, and even won a bronze medal at the 2000 Sydney Summer Olympics. So he's just a little accomplished. However, as incredible as all of that is, the hero that people saw in him faded rapidly in January of 2013. Just shortly after retiring from his cycling career, he was investigated by the United States Anti-Doping Agency, their report citing him as the ringleader of an extremely sophisticated and successful doping program, not only involving himself, but other cyclists as well. But Armstrong chose not to fight the allegations and instead decided to come clean about his drug use in an interview with none other than Oprah Winfrey. Armstrong ended up being stripped of all of his Tour de France titles and was banned from any sport regulated by the World Anti-Doping Agency. Number 2 are the Chicago White Sox. Known as the Black Sox scandal, this next story of cheating rocked the city of Chicago during the 1919 World Series of Baseball. After their 5-3 defeat, players from the Chicago White Sox were actually accused of purposely throwing their games against the Cincinnati Reds in order to collect bets that they made with gamblers. The plan to lose the series started as a protest against the White Sox owner, Charles Comiskey, who was widely disliked due to his underpaying of the team's players. Yes, they were underpaid despite previously winning the 1917 World Series and being one of the best teams in the league. In September of 1920, nearly a full year later, a grand jury listened to the confessions of pitcher Eddie Cicotte and outfielder Shoeless Joe Jackson, and on October 22nd, 1920, 8 players were charged with conspiracy to defraud. Interestingly, because of this, Judge Kennesaw Landis was appointed the first commissioner of baseball in an effort to protect the sport's clean image, and he gave all 8 players a lifetime ban from the sport. Talk about taking a man's balls away from him. Man, that's tough. Number 3 is Sylvester Carmo. If you're thinking the only way to cheat in a horse race is to force feed your stallion horse steroids, think again. As it turns out, if the weather's just right, you can win without racing at all. And that's exactly what happened on January 6, 1990 at the Delta Downs racetrack in Vinton, Louisiana. The entire track was engulfed in a thick fog that made spectators unable to see the jockeys or their horses. So, jockey Sylvester "Sly" Carmo and his horse landing officer placed a distant first in the race, ahead of everybody else. The strange thing is, no other jockeys saw Carmo pass. What was even more odd is that landing officer had only won 5 of his previous 53 races, so something seemed a little fishy. The track's veterinarian noticed that landing officer didn't seem to be out of breath and had no dirt on his legs from running the race, so he got a little suspicious. As it turns out, he stayed in place while the others raced around the track and had only pretended to win. Because of this, he was outed as a cheater and was banned from racing for 10 years. Number 4 is Rosie Ruiz. Marathons are super long, so who can blame someone that wants to get it over with quicker, right? Well, when you take shortcuts and then win, that's when there's a problem. In 1980, Cuban-born marathon runner Rosie Ruiz won the 84th Boston Marathon by a large margin, making her the female record holder for the best time ever achieved. But oddly and very suspiciously, she wasn't even seen on the track by any of the personnel or other competitors throughout the race. It was quickly discovered that that Ruiz had cut off the track and used a shorter route only to jump back on the racetrack near the finish line. But this wasn't even the first time that she had done this. She had used the same technique previously in the New York City Marathon to qualify for that race in Boston, but during that race, she actually opted to take the subway to the finish line. Officials obviously caught her cheating, and she was stripped of her marathon title 8 days later, the award being given to the people who came in second place. Number 5 is Ben Johnson. Born in Falmouth, Jamaica, but identified as a Canadian athlete, Ben Johnson became a national sensation after winning the gold medal in the 100-meter final at the Seoul Summer Olympic Games on September 24th, 1988. Johnson actually set a world record at the time, completing the race in just 9.79 seconds and becoming the first Canadian athlete to win the event since 1928. Unfortunately, just 3 days after the race, the Olympic Doping Control Center reported that Johnson's urine tested positive for anabolic steroids, and the world record win that he had was disqualified. And on top of that, the records that he set at the Olympics and at the 1987 World Championships were both rescinded, and he was suspended from the sport until 1991. Now, you know, most times people would learn their lesson from such an embarrassing event, but not everybody's so smart. On January 7th, 1993, he made a glorious comeback, winning the 50-meter race in Grenoble, France, but unbelievably, once again, he tested positive for performance-enhancing supplements. Johnson was then banned from racing indefinitely. Number 6 is Barry Bonds. Born on July 24th, 1964, legendary former Major League Baseball player Barry Bonds was one of the sport's greatest athletes, with records for most home runs overall and most home runs in a single season. He stood second only to Babe Ruth for the most career wins. With amazing accomplishments like that, it was tough for a lot of people when they found out just how much of a cheater the baseball icon was. Back in 2000, Bonds was approached by BALCO, the Bay Area Laboratory Cooperative, with an invention that they called the Clear. Ooh, sounds safe and promising. The thing is that it was a performance-enhancing steroid that was virtually undetectable by tests administered at the time. Not only did Bonds accept it, but he went as far as to connect the company with other sports stars that would benefit from these enhancements. But after an investigation that took place between 2003 and 2007, Bonds was indicted on charges of perjury and obstruction of justice after he lied to a grand jury about accepting drugs from BALCO. Because of this, he was not entered into the National Baseball Hall of Fame, even though he had been eligible for several years. Number 7 is Marion Jones. Born on October 12, 1975, Marion Jones is an American track and field athlete who won 2 bronze medals and 3 gold medals at the 2000 Summer Olympic Games in Sydney, Australia. Going back all the way to her high school days of track and field, Jones had been accused many times of using performance-enhancing substances, but managed to somehow avoid testing positive. It wasn't until October 5th of 2007, after a large-scale investigation into Jones and other high-profile athletes for using untraceable steroids, that she announced her retirement from track and field and admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs, including steroids, throughout her whole career. The United States Anti-Doping Agency ended up stripping her of all titles and awards that she received after September 1st of 2000. And yes, this included all of her Olympic medals and 3 other World Championship victories. Number 8 is Tim Donaghy. You don't have to be a player or a coach to profit from cheating. Sometimes even those that are officiating get to benefit. Former NBA referee Tim Donaghy officiated 772 regular season games and 20 playoff games in his 13-year-long career in professional basketball. Unfortunately, none of that mattered through 2007 when the FBI investigated Donaghy on suspicions that he bet tens of thousands of dollars on the games that he refereed. As it turns out, he made bogus calls against players in order to guarantee that he'd win himself a nice little payday. According to the reports, he had made some big connections with individuals involved with organized crime and made himself $2,000 for every single pick that he gave them. Donaghy ended up resigning from the league on July 9th, 2007 before the FBI reports were released, and on August 15th, he pled guilty to charges against him from the report. After serving prison time, he released an autobiography appropriately titled Personal Foul about his betting scandal in the NBA. Number 9 is Tonya Harding. Sports, man, they're wicked serious. So serious, in fact, that some people will do anything to win, even severely injure their opponents. Or, in the case of Tonya Harding, have someone else injure them. On January 6, 1994, after a practice session for the US Figure Skating Championships in Detroit, Michigan, two-time Olympian figure skater Tonya Harding had her ex-husband, Jeff Gillooly, and bodyguard Sean Eckhart hire a hitman to attack her biggest competition, Nancy Kerrigan, to break her right leg. The hitman, Shane Stant, assaulted Kerrigan with a police baton, but managed to only bruise her and failed to actually break any bones. I've been hired to do a job, whackity whack. Well, that wasn't hard enough. But regardless, Kerrigan was forced to withdraw from the competition, allowing Harding to win first place. But Kerrigan ended up recovering by the time the Winter Olympics took place and took the silver medal, while Harding only came in 8th. But after the scandal was discovered for her role in the sabotage, Harding was given 3 years probation, 500 hours of community service, and a whole lot of frowns. She was also stripped of her 1994 US Championship title and was banned for life from professional figure skating. And number 10 is the Spanish Paralympic team. And now for the grand master of cheating scandals. In what is truly an offensive and disgusting move, the Spanish intellectually disabled basketball team at the 2000 Sydney Summer Paralympic Games was made up of individuals who weren't disabled at all. The basketball team won the gold medal in their sport, defeating the non-cheating Russian team. Prior to the games, the team was not given any medical tests to prove their eligibility, but provided medical evaluations that had been forged and given to them by Fernando Martin Vincenti, the then head of the Spanish Federation for Medically Handicapped Sports. The scandal ended up being discovered because after the picture of the gold medal team was released, people who knew some of the athletes came forward revealing that they were not disabled. Yes, I know, Jose, he no mentally challenged, he's stupid, but he no mentally challenged. It was later concluded that 10 out of the 12 men on the team had no mental handicap whatsoever. But the fraud didn't end there, because it also included Spain's table tennis, track and field, and swimming teams who won 5 medals. It was believed that they all intentionally signed up in order for Spain to gain more Olympic team sponsorships. So those were the 10 biggest cheaters in sports history. But as always, I want to know from you, is there someone else that you think deserves to be on this list? Leave your response below and I'll be reading through them, and I'll pin the best comment to the top. If you enjoyed this, you should definitely check out my friend Mike Korzemba's channel by pressing or clicking the thumbnail to the right of your screen now. He makes incredible videos about not only NBA conspiracies, but more that'll really make you think, including his new video, The 4 Worst Scandals in NBA History. Make sure you check him out and tell him I sent you, and I will see you next time. Bye!